be giving updates on those as well. One second, I lost my cursor. Oh, yeah. One of the things that, like you probably heard about, just want to highlight the APS grocery store in partnership with Gooder at our hub that we recently opened. I believe that was in November. And so we have a kind of like self-serve grocery mini grocery store where you can come in and kind of shop. Groceries are free, so there's no payment with that, but it is located at the hub 601 Dr. Thomas Cole Jr. Way, which is located I think kind of near Morris Brown, the AU Center. Um, and so this was a partnership that was created through the City of Atlanta, Gooder, the College Football Playoff Foundation, and Atlanta Sports Council. So I do want to highlight that as well. We also, well, that's just a picture of what it looks like. I apologize if it looks a little blurry. Oh, well, are you able to see the video? You are? Okay.
Well, wait, it's not playing though. I don't know if you trying to play it.
It probably won't. No, it won't play.
Okay.
So I just skip it.
Okay.
Something else is coming up. Frederick Douglass received a historical marker. This was sponsored by Councilmember Bunn. He had been working on these historical markers, not only for Frederick Douglass, but also Booker T. Washington as well. And so that's just a recap of that. For those who are in the Douglass cluster, we had one more picture I wanted to show, but we did rename Best Academy to the Thomas W. Dortch Academy, and that was done in December. And so I just want to make sure everybody, is aware of that. I don't think I have a photo of it, but the new school is the Thomas W. Dortch Academy Best Academy at the Thomas W. Dortch Jr. Institute. So those are pretty much all my updates, and I will stop screen sharing and take any questions, feedback, recommendations, or input you all may have.
Yes, if I may, board chair.
Yep, you sure can.
All right, so first and foremost, good evening, everyone. Again, as Board Chair Mitchell stated, we thank you guys for attending our meeting during this cold day. I hope you guys are staying safe. We have reached the community portion where Board Chair Mitchell, and I do see we have our newest member, Board Member Pace, on the call. Thank you for being here. To engage directly with board members, and we have administration on the call. I see we have Dr. Love, we have Mr. Travis Novare from Strategy. Dr. Love is from Exceptional Services. We do have Family Engagement on the call. And I think that is it. And so, yes, at this time, we will engage directly with stakeholders. If you could, by raising your hand so we can place you into the queue, and we will take you as you guys appear. So our first speaker I see with a hand raised is Mr. Ruff, followed by Mr. Raynard. So we'll go in that order.
So was that Rufus? You said Ruff. Can you hear me?
Rufus,
okay?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I'm sorry about messing up your name.
That's okay. It happens sometimes. Good evening, everybody. to the board chair, Ms. Mitchell, to everyone else on the board. I'd like to let you know, I work in the transportation department at APS. I'm a bus operator, and I'm over at the Metro facility. And I don't know if it made it to the board level, but there were some concerns about the high poverty stipends. Are you familiar with how that works? The high poverty stipends?
No. Could you explain a little bit more about that? I'm gonna take some notes here.
Okay, well, I think it's twice a year for high poverty schools.
Okay.
And some of your schools fall into that criteria, where teachers get an incentive, an extra $1,000 or $2,000 throughout the year for working in high poverty schools.
Gotcha.
All right, and as well as the bus operators gets it as well. So there was just a concern about the distribution of it and and how it rolls down to the individual employees. I did have a conversation with your compensation team. I think his name is Kenneth Grant. And so, and I was just wondering, I just had some questions, and I don't know if you can answer it or not, as far as how the allocations work for the schools and how does that filter down to the bus operators.
Okay. I can follow up with you on that because I don't have the answer with that for you tonight, but we will reach out to you. If you could direct message me, no, do we have the right email address so we can send him a corresponding follow up on that? If you could send me a direct message with your email address, Mr. Rufus.
Let me see. I'm not too graded with these things.
Okay.
I can put it in the chat. I don't mind if anybody else have it. Would that work?
Okay, that's fine. That'll work.
I'll put it in the chat. And the reason like I said, I just don't know how far reaching it gets to your level. But whenever people have concerns, if nothing else, good, clear information always helps calm fears.
Okay.
All right. So that is my personal email. I didn't use the APS one, but that's okay. Because I don't really know that one as good as I know my personal one. Do you see it okay? But you are familiar with the high poverty schools, though?
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. That was my only question I had concerning that particular, and also regular school tomorrow, right?
Yes. We let me just make sure we try to make that official. There will be some notifications that will be sent out. But yeah, it's unofficial right now.
Okay, well that's good. So I won't stay up too late. Well, thank you for my question.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
All right, thank you, sir. So we'll go to Raynard, followed by Kimberly, and then to Nakia.
Happy New Year, board member Mitchell.
No, I think it's Raynard Burrell. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I spoke incorrectly then.
I'm sorry. I forgot we have two Raynards here. Raynard Burrell.
Good evening, Chair Mitchell. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks for you providing this opportunity for us to have open communication and dialogue. What I wanted to do is to send a invitation to our upcoming Principal of the Year event that FPSC is having at the City Hall atrium on February 8th between 2 and 4 p.m. And just acknowledging our 5 principals, Miss Melissa St. Joy of Hutchins Elementary, Dr. Tiffany Franklin from Beecher Hills Elementary, Miss Carla McCall from Crawford Long, as well as Miss Kimberly Gibbs from King Middle, and Dr. Christina Rogers from Carly Early College. If anyone is open to everyone on the call, as well as the public, If anyone is interested in RSVPing, they can RSVP to info@Georgia, spelled all the way out, fpsc.org. Once again, that's on February 8th on a Saturday between 2 to 4. We look forward to having everyone. We're going to have a wonderful festive times with bands, cheer teams, and dancers, as well as a musical performance. And we look forward to having everyone. Thank you. And I look forward to hearing the rest of the comments from everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burrell. And it will be in attendance on February 8th, as well as the superintendent and several board members.
Thank you so much. Look forward to that. And once again, congratulations to new board member Tolton Pace. And take care, and we appreciate that. Look forward to having you all.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Kimberly. Good evening, Kimberly Brooks.
Good evening. Good evening. My apologies for not turning on my camera. It's been a very long day. Happy New Year to everyone, and congratulations to our new appointee. Actually, I have been in the Southeast Atlanta for the most part, but I've been dealing with, I have some questions. Number one, is that slide that presentation, is that going to be sent? Is there a way that could be emailed to me? Or was that just for the presentation for the PowerPoint?
It was just for the presentation for the updates. I'll be happy to get it sent to you.
Okay, awesome. I'll put my email in the chat. But no, my purpose for being on here today is I have been identified. I'm an astro. I'm a Frederick Douglass High School graduate. And I just wanted to identify some questions or some challenges that as it relates to best practices, graduation rates, and quality education as it relates to transparency and our new superintendent. So our currently what we have, I have that issue that I have wondering, does our new superintendent have access and the level of control or what says involvement at KIP as he does at Douglas and at Mays? And the reason I asked that question is because I'm trying to measure and understand teacher quality analysis as it relates to charter public partner versus just public schools, and the amount of control that he has over those schools, as many of those schools under this district has been identified as needing improvement. So that was the question that I wanted to know, are we the answer to, if that's possible.
So he doesn't have that same magnitude of, I guess, control that he will have with Atlanta Public Schools. Is different. Atlanta Public Schools is ran, governance is the board. We hire the superintendent. KIP, the charter schools, they have their own governing board, and they're operated by KIP employees, which are not APS employees. So it's two different entities. But we approve charter schools, their charter, operating charter, to run these schools in our school district, but we have no governance over what happens day to day, who they hire, who they don't hire. Superintendent doesn't have any control over that. We only approve their charter contract.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure, because that is my concern actually, because the public needs well, I can't speak for the entire public, but I'm just looking forward to some processes that we can put in place or some systems to give our superintendent the control that he needs over schools and the necessary governance for the level of transparency that we need, so that we can make sure that the funds that are being spent as it relates to federal and local funds are being used and prioritized properly. So I just wanted to ask that question to make sure that I got the proper clarification before I just research further. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Nikhil here, I see you put your hand down. Do you still have a question or comment?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Greetings, everyone.
We'll go to Ms. Brockinson Shaw.
All right, awesome. Greetings, everyone, and Madam Erika Mitchell. I wanted to ask about the additional priorities that was presented before us. Number 5, enhancing funding for teacher recruitment and retention. Could you expound upon what that enhancement will actually look like for our district?
Let me see if I can pull up additional information on that. And what does that look like for the district? Give me 1 second. As we went through it in our work session, so I have to pull up that information. I don't have it directly.
Okay, and if it's something that's preferred to email to me for the sake of time, that would be sufficient as well.
Yeah, I can definitely get that email to you. But let me see if I can pull something up right now. I don't. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
If you don't mind, let me send that to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead and make a note and make sure I get that to you. It's priority number 5.
Yes, additional priority, enhanced funding for teacher recruitment and retention.
Got it. Yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Brockington Shaw, followed by Raynard Johnson, and then Mr. William.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dawn. And actually, this was actually in response to Ms. Brooks. And actually, maybe like I don't even need to ask. I wanted to give her an invitation, but before I invite her to something, I want to ask, are you a charter parent? Are you looking for just more insight or information on charter schools and APS that have a partnership with APS? Oh yeah, she's on mute probably. Did she leave?
Oh, she's still here.
Is she me?
Huh?
Hello? No, I was going to ask her that. No, I was going to ask because it was going to add to what Board Chair Mitchell said, but that's okay. I don't think she can respond or whatever. Who is she? Who am I? I'm in the Mays cluster. So I'm a parent of students that have graduated through the Mays cluster, also part of EMC Square. She's asking who is she? I was actually going to invite you, if you were a charter parent, to come back to Atlanta Public Schools if you're not happy with charter schools. That's all. I always like to invite people back in.
No. I'm an educational advocate. My apologies. I didn't introduce myself. I do apologize.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Was that all done?
That's it. Thanks,
Okay.
Keith.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I do
Mr.
have an
Raynard.
update
I'm sorry.
for y'all really quickly. Schools will be open tomorrow. There might be a 2-hour delay. So you should be receiving notifications shortly. Mr. Johnson, how are you? Happy New Year. Raynard Johnson.
Okay. Good. Good. Happy New Year, Board Member Mitchell. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Happy New Year to you and all the other board members and the other guests that are here. Quick question for you. I'm giving, since it's the new year, I'm giving away gifts. Who's that person that you may know that's involved in the Black women's golf thing? Is her name Patricia King, I think?
Yes.
I have a pair of female golf shoes I'm trying to get rid of. They're size 10, professional. They've never been worn. So if you know anyone that wears a size 10 golf shoes, okay, let me know for that. And something came across my timeline recently that made me thought about something. Do you know where we stand now on that at one time $50 million unfunded liability regarding the 2,500 former City of Atlanta employees that became part of the district retirement? Because at one time we had that, $50 million unfunded liability. I don't know where that went. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it still exists or not. I just know that I haven't heard that much about it. But I know back in, the pre-1978 City of Atlanta pensioners that were approved for AP at the 2,500. Where are we with that unfunded liability? Do you have some idea?
You know what? Let me research that for you because I do not know, Mr. Johnson. I know we had a huge pension liability, and I believe that's what you're talking about, that $50 million unfunded, 25 employees. Let me follow up.
Yes, those pre-1978 City of Atlanta Right, that came over to the APS system because of the transfer. And at one time we had that huge liability for their unfunded pensions.
Okay, gotcha.
So I
Okay.
don't know where that is. And in beginning of your Zoom meeting, I believe you gave a summary of some of your things you're involved in. And one of the things that struck me was the housing part. And you said, what was the thing that you mentioned about the funding from HUD? I didn't catch that.
So we are a division through HUD. So HUD allocates federal dollars down, and so the continuum of care receives those HUD funds, and they're able to help families get housing through that funding. They are able also to give to pay for the housing for the families or individual that live in the city of Atlanta with their partnership with working with different housing complex or homes.
Correct. Approximately, do you have some idea about how many homeless, I mean, unsheltered or in transition APS students do we have now? Because at one time we had, last year at Mays, we had a lot, but
Had a lot.
approximately district-wide, do you know about how many thousands or how many hundreds of, how many thousands of APS kids?
I will double check on that number. I don't have it with me.
Okay, I know it's growing. I know it's a growing number of kids that are in transition in certain districts. You know, it's a growing issue. Here's my thoughts. The former Department of Labor place over there on Westlake, since you're in talks with the government, the county, the city council, you all need to get together, try to devise a plan to get that building and put a lot of our services on the first floor. That used to be the Wallahaji Hotel.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
That empty place there. That would be a perfect location for transitioning many of our unhoused or in transition families in APS, women and children only, and to try to get a grasp on this thing because it's a growing thing now. It's getting worse. I think that might be, if you might want to consider exploring that with your other elected officials. But I think if all the county, the city, legislature get together, there should be some way that the city APS could get that building and start using it to house our unhoused families or in transition, to make it a pathway out. Okay, because it's getting to be an issue. So that's all. Happy New Year, congratulations, and believe it or not, that's all I have to say.
Raynard, it's a new year. Love hearing your voice.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. William, good evening.
Hey, good evening, everyone. William Brazil. I'm an educator at Douglas High School.
Okay.
And I have a question. If y'all know, Douglas has basically has a ninth grade academy. And word on the street is that they're gonna next year, that the plan is to close the ninth grade academy and move the ninth graders back over to the main campus at Douglas High School. I wanted to hear what your opinion was on that. I'll just go ahead and tell you what my opinion is on it. I think that they should leave the academy, the ninth grade academy, as it currently is. It seems a lot when the ninth graders were at the main campus, we had a whole host of problems. Since that academy has been open, the amount of problems that we've had has significantly decreased. And I used to tell people when we had ninth graders, I mean, I was pretty much breaking up fights quite a bit. And since the ninth grade academy has been created, I mean, I have barely had to break up a fight, for example. So I was wanting to hear what your thoughts were on regards to maintaining the ninth grade academy and kind of go from there.
Well, first of all, I haven't had no one has brought that to me. This is the first I'm hearing of it, that they want to, discontinue the ninth grade academy. That hasn't been shared with me through the administration. But I know when we, as a board, approved the ninth grade academy, when Priscilla Taylor had became the principal. First she was interim and then she became the principal. And the reasoning behind it was very solid. we understood that we needed to separate the ninth grade to kind of get them in the flow and the structure. And, they have that transition from middle school to ninth grade. We wanted to focus, so they have their area where we can focus just on ninth grade, getting them ready to transition the next year into 10th grade. But then we had some elements with 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, but we had to split them up and do the two campuses. I approved it because I thought it was I still believe it's a great plan. And I still believe in the work that's being done on both sites. But I have not heard, it has not been brought to me that they're going to do away with the ninth grade academy. So that's something I will check in, because are you hearing it from internally or externally? I know you said, the word on the street.
Internally, I mean, yeah, it's been more of an internal, nothing's been brought up at a faculty meeting or anything along that line, but that's just the chatter and so forth that's been going on in reference to that, because my understanding is there are going to be budget cuts, upcoming and so forth, and that may be on the chopping block.
Nah, it haven't came across my desk. Let me just be honest with you. We haven't even discussed that as being the option of being one of the things that is going to be a part of the budget cut. No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Right. Good. Then another question I have for you, again, is in reference to academics, I guess you could say, and that is, what exactly is the true attendance policy? And the reason why I asked this, because our attendance, for lack of, but it's not very good. All right. But then when we get down to grading time, when grades have to be submitted and things along that line, and you have a student or students that have horrible attendance, but then we have to do this thing of, making sure that every student has an opportunity to pass. And when you deal with that same situation of the horrible attendance, then you kind of catch yourself in like a bad situation. Well, how am I supposed to pass this student if they got all these days missing, or, when they haven't necessarily mastered the content, but yet you still have to give them every opportunity to get that grade. But when they've missed, out of 45 days, they've already missed 20 some odd days. So I'm just kind of trying to get a true handle on what the actual attendance policy is, because it says one thing, but to me, it's not exactly being held with fidelity, whatever it may happens to be.
So with the attendance policy, we've got to pull the policy and see exactly what the concern are with it. Is more of the days they miss of school, and then next thing you know, you have to grade them. Let me see if I can pull the attendance policy. Yeah, we have policy meeting next. I think it's on the Wednesday of next week. It was actually supposed to be tomorrow, but it's not because of cancellation of school. And I am currently sharing policy at the moment, and I'll be happy to look into that for you. But I will have to pull the policy just to see exactly what it states.
Okay. In addition to that policy, then, if APS is supposed to be, is APS, I should ask, is APS a no cell phone district?
It is not. The principals have the flexibility of their school to decide if they would like the students to have their cell phones with them or not. But it's not a no cell phone district. We ask that students keep their cell phones put away while they're in class, and that is dictated by the principal. Now, there is I believe one high school that maybe it's not a high school, but one school, I'll just say school because not in my district, so I don't want to misspeak, but they allow the students to put their phone in a little pouch for the whole day. And I believe they might be able to take it out at lunch or not, and they have to put it back, they have to put it away. But as of now, students can bring their cell phones to school.
Okay. Is there anything that APS as a district going to do in regards to that, instead of it just being at the school level? Because
Yeah.
I think the center of most of our problems obviously centers around the cell phone.
The cell phone. So
And
that will have to be some a mandate from the administration. If not, then it will be a policy from the board if we get to that. But as of now, the superintendent has allowed autonomy and flexibility with the school leadership to determine how they want to roll that out. If the board come together and say we want to do a policy around cell phones, then that will be something that will come from the board policy wise. But it is up to the school leadership at the moment. If there's something we can take a deeper dive and look at, yes, we can. Is there opportunity for that? Yes. And would love to connect with you to hear some of those concerns in detail to take back to kind of see exactly what could be put in, what type of parameters should be put in place. Because if, you're not the only person that have concerns about cell phones, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I'm sure you're not. So
yeah, sure.
that's something that we can dive a little bit deeper into, have a deeper discussion, because that's good to know, like getting that feedback in the school, what is happening, and especially when we do, develop policy as a board, or just making sure that Dr. Johnson and his team have that feedback as well. So be happy to discuss, in more detail with you.
Okay, well, yeah, definitely something needs to be done in reference to it. Now, for me personally, I mean, I've gotten a better handle on it within my own classroom, but I know that, throughout the building, that's not consistent in that regard.
Yeah.
And, obviously a lot of the issues that we may have oftentimes center around, what happens regarding to the cell phone, the videos being passed around and things along the line, or obviously also on the academic front where student use to cheat. And there's a challenge also. So we look at the cell phone policy, as I don't take phones from students, but when that event does come up, you either have the issue with the student or you have the issue with the parent, and then no one ends up being a winner in that regard. So that's why I was thinking maybe the board would take a more active role on that instead of just putting it down at the
school level.
At the school level, because we have at Douglas, we have a high transitional rate. So we have students who go back and forth from one school to another. And if it's a cell phone policy at one school, but then it's not in another school, then that creates issues as well.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I will definitely look into it. Could you send me your contact information in a direct message? And then also, I do have the attendance policy for us to discuss as well.
All right, will do. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So we'll hear back from Kimberly, followed by Rufus.
I do apologize. I don't know if I can ask the gentleman that was actually online a question as he related it to attendance, because I think it was Mr. Raynard, I don't know his name, that talked about homelessness and, well, the unsheltered. But I was wondering, is there how many social workers or social workers do we have in place? Because attendance, as an advocate, I've learned a lot of parents don't have a place to stay. And because of our housing crisis that we're experiencing, a lot of parents may have a challenge as it relates to attendance. And I would not want to see a situation where a financial or economic situation has interfered with the child's education, whereas the child is willing and can learn, but we don't have any mechanisms in place for that as it relates to attendance. So I think, Chairman Mitchell, you said you had the attendance policy up. Before we address like the raw attendance of the student not being there, do we explore any other options such as a social worker and unsheltered and homelessness and things like that before we just act on the child not being present in classrooms?
Yeah. So there's a process on the school level where we miss so many days. It is sent to the social worker. The social worker then look into it. There's phone calls made. They try to figure out kind of what is happening with that student and why they are having these absences. I would tell you that there is a process around that. There's a protocol around it. Now, do I know the ins and outs of it? No, I don't, because that's on the administrative side. But I don't know if there's anyone on this call from the administration that would like to speak to that, to give you a little bit more context around it. If not, then I will have to follow up with you one-on-one to kind of tell you what the steps are when addressing, students from that with attendance and other issues, because we do have social workers at every school.
Right. I was
Mhm.
wondering if the teacher, I was wondering what was he saying, like were the response, because I think it sounded like he had a concern. That's why I don't know if I could ask him a question, because when he said what is the policy, I was trying to wrap my mind around what did he mean by that, and just injecting that information to see what the response was from that, so that I could be clear on the question that he asked, if that makes sense.
Oh, understood. Okay. And that was William Roselle.
Brazil, yeah.
Roselle.
Yeah, well, my understanding is it's like if you miss like 10 days or something along that line, then there's 10 days where you're supposed to have like 10 days seat time or something along that line. You couldn't miss more than 10 days. And obviously most of our students miss more than 10 days. And of course, what we're supposed to do whenever we have the absence, of course, is we try to make contact, with the parent. And then if we're unable to make contact with the parent, then we turn it over to the social worker. And then the social worker does, a house visit to see if they can find out what's going on with the student. And of course, I look at it from a concern point of, since I teach U.S. history, and it's a milestone class, so it's 20% of your grade, and also it's what the school is rated on when it comes down to the CC RPI. We got, in order for us to get points, we got to have at least 95% of the students to take the test. So if we don't have 95% of the students to take the test, then we get hit on that regard. Not to mention, just the obvious point, if they're not there, then they don't learn. And the big push, unfortunately, of course, for APS overall is to get the graduation rate up. And so you have all these different dynamics, of course, that are going against you while you're obviously trying to do your job as well. And so that's why I was trying to get what's really going on with the attendance, because I sometimes feel as regardless of how many days a student has been there, that I still got to figure out a way to get this student passed. And I don't think it's really not good for the student, but because then they leave with a false sense of thinking that they know something because they passed, and they do not.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. So just a time check, we are at 7:20, so we have 10 more minutes. So we'll take Rufus again, and then Mr. Reynard Johnson, and then Madam Chair, we will go to you, depending on what time looks like for just closing remarks, and then anything else that you would like to address.
Okay, well, thank you again. This is a question concerning the conduct of the students on the bus. The board has outlined certain policies that they would like, I guess, the students to adhere to. I know the board sends out a policy, the handbook for the student, that's supposed to be signed by the parent and the student, agreeing that they will adhere to these policies. Well, we have some schools where the children are a little more overzealous, I would say. And as a bus operator, we try to work with the students as much as possible. But when they get to the point where they just out of control, we're having a problem with the administration of the schools enforcing board policies. Although the student bus discipline conduct form says that the bus driver has complete control of his bus for the safety of himself and the students. So my concern is, the administrators of these schools supposed to be enforcing the board policies.
Yes.
Well, then we're experiencing a disconnect. If I give you for instance, I'm gonna move on because I know time is short. We have some students who like to throw bottles and objects out of the windows. And matter of fact, I just have to be honest, Douglas was one of the ones when I first started was really bad at it. And so when we bring it to the administrator and say, hey, throwing stuff out the windows, you know, we be getting threatened. Cars be chasing the buses down because kids are throwing objects out the window. So when we bring it to the administrators and we tell them, hey, the board policy said this young man needs detention or removed from the bus, and they seem like they're apprehensive about enforcing the board's policies pertaining to student conduct on these buses. So we need to know, what do we need to do to close that gap?
That gap, yeah. So when the board policy is approved and adopted, what transition is how the policy will be implemented from the administration. And so I will get with Dr. Johnson to kind of see where the loopholes are with what you explaining to me, because yeah, everybody's supposed to follow the policy, but it's up to the administration to implement what the policy says, and that comes out with regulations, process, procedures, and protocols that trickle on down. So I will be happy to chat with Dr. Johnson and kind of see, you know, where the opportunities are to close some of those gaps. But yes, everybody's supposed to follow district policy.
Okay, well, good. I just want to be known. And as well as where it says that the bus operator has control of the bus, if we mention, say, hey, he really needs to be given detention or something, because if they feel there's no accountability, then it becomes harder to transport the other students safely to and from school.
I do agree, yeah.
Then one last thing, if you got time. Our new senior director of transportation, Mr. Adam Johnson, he mentioned that there was a shortfall maybe in the budget. I don't know if it's pertaining to transportation or overall. And I guess they're gonna have to need some belt tightening in all areas.
Okay.
When it pertains to transportation, I'm wondering, where does first student fit into that? You know, first student is a contractor.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so in this belt tightening, if it has to take place, where do they fall into the scope if transportation has to take a hit?
Okay. I'm gonna have to get back with you on that.
Okay.
Not a problem. I got your email address.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You gonna hear from me.
Thank you for lending the ear. That's the ear. We just need to be able to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me, I will follow up and get and get the information for you. If it's something we have to look a little bit further in, at least you know we working on it. You know, so I want to be able to communicate that with you. I can't give you a direct answer now because I really don't know what the relationship is, you know, with Student First. I know we brought them in as a contractor when we had shortfalls with bus drivers and buses for the district, but you know, that was a while ago. I remember that one summer we had to hurry up and prove the contract because school was getting ready to start in a few weeks. Under Dr. Kastarfin, I believe. And so here we are, you know, years later, we still have a contract with them. I need to be brought up date as well. So I will look into that and follow up with you on that.
And I follow up, do you mind if I could see the contract? That contract between APS and First Student?
Yes, because contracts are that we
have
with it is public record.
Right.
And you can find a lot of this information on board docs. I don't know, Keith, if you want to put that link in there for everyone, like policies, past board meetings, contracts are on there. So it's like a kind of a dashboard where you can find all the information if you want to, you know, look at it. But we can find that link to the contract and send it to you. Yeah. It's all open to the public. Just know that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson, any quick comments? It's 7:26. We definitely want to get you up before we close.
Well, I will speak with my fast voice then. Thank you. From what I've been hearing about this bus thing, from Board Member Mitchell, are on a budgetary standpoint perspective, does the board approve school bus monitors for each school, and is it up to the principal with their autonomy as to whether or not they want to use that money for a school bus monitor?
So
Or
I know the budget is being rolled out a little bit differently now. I think that will probably come from the transportation department. Not sure, but they're in budget conversations now on how what is the district is covering that's rolled out, that's standardized, right? And then what do we allow the schools to have their budget and what flexibility they have in picking and choosing what type of staff that they need. So your question is,
yeah, my question is whether or not those school bus monitors, well, up until now, where are the school bus monitors? How are they allocated from the budget from that was previously approved last year?
I think it was allocated from the school. If the principal felt they needed that, then they will come to district and ask for that additional support because every
So they
bus
had to ask
don't
for. See, I
have
thought
a
for some reason I thought
bus monitor.
right. For some reason I thought it was just a blanket line item for it.
It
Through
is
the
for what schools need it, what principals need it, but everyone don't choose a bus monitor. Every principal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking my fast voice again. I know back in 2013 to 2017 era, or sometime around then, there were questions around the percentage of contracts being awarded to minority female businesses
Yes.
through the E-Plus program. And now that we're 10 years later, I kind of want to have some inkling as to where is that needle now in terms. I know we have the policies towards, all of that, but where is that needle now with respect to percentage of contracts we are awarded to minority female businesses through the East Blocks program?
And that's a data point I'll have to follow back up with you, Mr. Johnson, because I don't have that information on hand. Like I will
Thank you
have to
very much.
go and get that. And so
Thank
that'll
you.
be one of the things I send to you.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you, sir. And so, Board Chair Mitchell, it's on you. Close us out.
All right, thank you all. Just writing a little last notes down here for attending. We're gonna try to do this monthly. So I will have one in February, March, April, May, June. We'll take a break in July before we restart schools for August. Something I want to continue to do. I know when I first started it, I would host them at the libraries in District 5, and some mornings we had Chick-fil-A catered. Some mornings we had other breakfast or lunch food. But hopefully we can get in a place where we can meet back in person again on Saturdays, because that's when I normally used to host it. But when the pandemic hit, we went to weeknights like we are tonight. But I do want to be able to start back some face-to-face time with you all as we used to do as a community. And that should be happening soon. But I have my notes. I have some follow-ups to do with several of you all. And I look forward to seeing you back here again in February. And we'll send out those dates as well. But in the meantime, you have any questions, anything, I'll just pop my email address in the chat. And I do think we have a hand up from
Dr. Love.
Dr. Love, yes.
Yep.
Hi, Board Board Member Pace. I just wanted to say that I answered several questions in the Q&A space, and so I wanted to make sure that I gave voice to those questions that constituents may have. I also put my phone number, my cell number, and also email address. Those persons that I did respond to, if you could send me an email, that probably would be the most efficient way for get back with you with your questions or concerns. But I did want to make sure that I was typing as quickly as possible to respond. But if you need to contact me directly about exceptional education or special education, please do so. We're here to provide assistance as best we can. Thank you for allowing me a quick little word, Board Member Mitchell.
Not a problem. With that being said, I hope everybody have a good night. Stay warm. We look forward to seeing all our kids back to school tomorrow. I mean, all, even mine. We might have a 2-hour delay, but we got to get back in those schools. They had enough snow days. But I hope everybody have a safe night, and hope to see everybody back tomorrow.
All righty. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a good night. Thank you.